Baruch Spinoza, the exiled genius who redefined God and freedom in a quiet corner of 17th-century Amsterdam. Behind the crowded marketplace and beneath the endless church bells, lived a man who would shake the foundations of both religion and reason. A man so radical, so fearless in thought, that his very name was banned from his community, written in a curse and sealed with silence. His name was Baruch Spinoza. Not a warrior, not a prophet, just a man with a pen and a mind unwilling to be caged. This is the story of a philosopher who redefined God, challenged dogma, and taught the world what it truly means to be free. The excommunication Baruch. Spinoza was just 23 when the leaders of his Jewish community handed down the harshest punishment imaginably, complete excommunication. They read it aloud, in Hebrew, damning him for abominable heresies, for monstrous deeds, and for influencing others with his dangerous thoughts. No one was allowed to speak to him. No one could live with him, read his writings, or even pass him food. But what was his crime? Spinoza had begun to question everything, not just the details of religious law, but the entire concept of a personal, judgmental God. He whispered ideas that shook the very roots of religious tradition. Ideas that would make him a legend, an outcast. God is not a person. God is nature. Spinoza didn't believe in the God of the Bible, the one who punishes and rewards, who listens to prayers and intervenes in human affairs. He believed this view was a projection of human emotions, a God made in man's image. Instead, Spinoza offered a radical idea. God is not outside the world. God is the world. God is nature. Everything that exists is a part of God. The trees, the stars, your thoughts, your body, all are expressions of one infinite substance. He called it Deus Sive Natura, God or nature. This was not atheism. It was a deep, spiritual reverence for existence itself. But it didn't require temples or rituals, just awareness and to the religious authorities. This was blasphemy. The lonely craftsman of truth Spinoza was not a university professor. He never held a public position. After his exile, he earned his living by grinding lenses from microscopes and telescopes. Incredibly delicate and dangerous task. The glass dust damaged his lungs. It would eventually kill him at age 44. But he chose that quiet life because in silence he could think. In solitude, he could write. He turned down prestigious offers to teach at universities. He refused fame and fortune. All he wanted was to follow truth, wherever it led. And what he found would change philosophy forever. The mind of Spinoza. Reason is freedom to Spinoza. The greatest human goal wasn't wealth or power or even happiness. It was freedom, but not the kind of freedom we often think about, not freedom from laws or rules. It was freedom from emotional slavery, from fear, anger, jealousy, and confusion. How? Through reason. The more you understand, Spinoza wrote, the more you love. The more you are free. Our emotions, he said, are often based on false beliefs. We fear what we don't understand. We envy what we wrongly value. But when we see clearly through the lens of reason, those chains begin to break. This is how Spinoza turned his philosophy into a kind of spiritual practice, a path to inner peace, not by faith, but by understanding. The Ethics, a book that could not be published. Spinoza's greatest work, The Ethics, was so dangerous it couldn't be published during his lifetime. He knew the world wasn't ready. He left instructions for it to be released only after his death. The book is written like a mathematical proof. Definitions, axioms, theorems. It's almost unreadable at first glance. But beneath its geometric surface lies a powerful vision. God is everything. Everything follows from the nature of God. Human beings are not separate from nature. They are nature. Freedom is understanding necessity. The highest virtue is knowing reality clearly and loving it fully. In this book, Spinoza builds a whole universe not of chaos, but of perfect order. A place where everything happens for a reason. A place where peace comes not from escape, but from acceptance. The fire of controversy, even after death. Spinoza's ideas burned like wildfire across Europe. The Catholic Church banned his works. Religious leaders called him the Prince of Atheists, but others saw in him a prophet of the modern age. Voltaire praised him. Einstein said, "I believe in Spinoza's God." He inspired poets, scientists, and political revolutionaries. His influence runs through the Enlightenment, through liberal democracy, even through modern physics and psychology, all from a man who lived alone in silence. Grinding lenses. The man who loved truth more than belonging. Spinoza paid the price. For his honesty, he lost his community. He lost his family. He lived alone, and yet he held no hatred. He once wrote, "Peace is not the absence of war. It is a virtue, a state of mind, a disposition for benevolence." Even those who cursed him, he forgave, even when dying of lung disease in his early 40s. He continued to write. He believed that truth, once discovered, was enough. Why Spinoza matters today? Spinoza's ideas are more relevant today than ever, in a world divided by religion. He showed us that God is not on one side, God is in everything. In a time of emotional chaos, he taught that peace comes through understanding. In a culture obsessed with control, he reminded us that freedom is not doing whatever we want, but knowing who we truly are. His life tells us something else, too, that even if the world rejects you, even if you walk alone, your ideas can outlive empires. Closing words. Baruch Spinoza lived without fame. He died without wealth. But his words still breathe. He showed us that philosophy is not just thinking. It's a way of seeing, a way of being, a way of loving the universe, not as we wish it to be, but as it truly is. The more you understand, the more you love. Baruch Spinoza.